The foundation is cracking. Chris Hayes of MSNBC reported on the Tara Reade allegations against Joe Biden, and boy, did he get torn up for it. Hashtag fire Chris Hayes goes viral, and now Chris Hayes is responding to it, saying that the most disquieting thing was the group of people who were attacking Tara Reade's character. At the same time, we have this story, Rose McGowan being supported by Evan Rachel Wood of Westworld and tweeting out a story from Breitbart. Rose McGowan, famous feminist leader who just came out saying the Democrats and the media are a cult, is now apparently reading Breitbart. So it's a very strange world we live in. And we have more, I guess. We got Jimmy Dore. Jimmy's awesome, by the way, calling out Bernie Sanders, as well as Kyle Kulinski. Looks like progressives are standing up to the establishment, be it Bernie Sanders or otherwise. Rose McGowan's reading Breitbart, I guess. And Chris Hayes is calling out the resistance Biden people. The left has been fractured for a long time, man. But this dominant base that's been very tribalist and ignored principle seems to have split. Now, I'm not going to pretend like Jimmy or Kyle or Rose represent the entirety of the left. They represent certain aspects in certain areas of it. But it seems like the left, I'm doing air quotes, as we describe it, has been this like disparate conglomeration of various similar ideologies. And now as we have many people standing up for their principle against an establishment that just wants to win, we're seeing some good people do, say some interesting and strange things that we wouldn't normally expect. The first story from the Hill, MSNBC's Chris Hayes responds to trending fire Chris Hayes hashtag over coverage of Biden allegation. Chris Hayes did what he was supposed to do. Why is anybody cheering for this guy or trying to get him fired? He literally did his job. Good job, I guess. You did what you are supposed to do. Talk about very serious news issues pertaining to politics. Let's move on. Well, apparently people don't want to. Chris Hayes says there's three groups of people. There are a group of people who said that they believe Joe Biden and not Tara Reade. A group of people that just said they didn't care. And he said, and the third category, which I got a lot of, that was the most disquieting to me. A whole lot of people pointing to various aspects of Reade's character or her writings or her politics as a kind of proof that she's not credible. She's making it up. Hayes said some viewers pointed to Reade's political positions, including the fact that she supported former candidate Bernie Sanders and previous positive comments she made about Biden. These are the things that have been used forever against women making these types of allegations, Hayes said. To me, the lesson of the Me Too movement is not that you believe every allegation. Of course not. No. The lesson is to take the allegations seriously, to swiftly investigate the facts surrounding them as best as one can, while leaving aside the worst age-old instincts to drag the woman who makes those claims through the mud, he added. Now, I don't necessarily agree with the core ideology of abandoning due process. I don't think it's weird to me when they're like, we must believe women. That just means we take their claims seriously. Well, yeah, you do that for everybody. And it doesn't matter what crime you're asserting. Often you don't get taken seriously anyway. I mean, look, man, I've had issues where I've been physically attacked and the cops are like, we're not going to do anything about that. Sorry. Yes, it's against the law. Yes, we know it happened. No, we're not going to arrest them. They don't take it seriously, or they just don't care, or they're like, dude, just go home. Who cares? And yeah, you choose your battles. In this regard, I don't think we need a special standard for believing women. If you file a police report, we investigate it. The problem is that believe women literally meant believe them no matter what. What else could it mean? We believe they made the claim? Well, as soon as it came down to Joe Biden, they were like, no, it just means we believe them, like we're gonna look into it. That's right. And of course, Chris Hayes got torn up for it, but good on him for standing up for his principles, even if his principles are wrong. Look, I get it, man. We can argue about whether he's right or wrong to push a no due process position, which I'm sure he'll probably say he's not, but we know what they were doing before. The fact is, if you're going to call out Kavanaugh and then you're going to call out, Biden, well, at least you're being consistent. Hypocrisy is the worst thing ever. You can have bad ideas. Just actually believe your bad ideas. Stop pretending. Interestingly, the bigger picture here that I think is interesting is to see how many leftists are sort of being fractured from where you normally wouldn't expect them to be. Rose McGowan said, the same feminists and women's groups that are not supporting Tara Reade are the same false feminists that did nothing to support me. Thank you, Evan Rachel Wood, Westworld star backs Rose McGowan's stand against the Democrats. Evan Rachel Wood, Awesome. I haven't really been watching Westworld. I got to be honest. I'm not trying to say this to be disrespectful. The first season was awesome. Second season, I just totally lost interest and then eventually stopped watching it. And I am absolutely not watching the third. But it's really cool to see more celebrities, more stars coming out and calling out the broken machine that is the Democratic establishment. Westworld star Evan Rachel Wood backs Rose McGowan. They say, it says Evan Rachel Wood tweeted her support of Rose McGowan, writing, I have to say this is spot on. In response to McGowan's recent statement describing her disillusionment with the left-wing establishment, calling them a cult. That's it. That's actually just amazing, though. Rose McGowan came out and said the Democrats were supposed to be the good guys. The New York Times, the Washington Post were supposed to be their papers, the good guys. But instead, they were just propping up Joe Biden and the establishment. Well, Evan Rachel Wood hasn't made a strong statement. She's basically just mirroring what Rose McGowan said. That's pretty awesome. It's cool to see a lot of people come out and recognize the Democrats have become a fringe, ridiculous, lying, broken machine. Like I have. Most of you have. Look, there are a lot of people that are still in the matrix, whatever you want to call it, blue-pilled or whatever. They don't realize just what's going on with the Democrats. And it doesn't mean there's good things happening with the Republicans. But I'll tell you what, man, look at the data, look at the charts. The Republicans are doing their thing. That's the way I've always seen it. And I've always been a more urban-dwelling liberal type. And over the past several years, I've been staring at the Democrats like, what are you doing? You've lost your minds. Now, here's the thing, man. I'm a journalist. I track this stuff. I worked for these companies, so I saw it right on the front lines. These people are just celebrities. They're in the back, and they're finally now getting hit with the wave of hypocrisy and calling it out. I don't know why Rose McGowan was reading Breitbart, but hey, you can see that this is how the shift happens, right? They call it red pilling or whatever. I don't think Rose McGowan's going to come out overnight and wear a Trump hat and start waving a Trump flag or anything. But you look for media that represents what you know to be true. The Democrats and the media betrayed you and what you believed in, saying we got to call out these predators. You then go online and what do you find? You find left-wing media outlets slamming and smearing you and insulting you and attacking you. But then you see a fair article from Breitbart and you're like, wait a minute, this story is correct and those stories are false. The other stories, you know, they're lying about you. I've seen it over and over again. NBC, Deadline, they've all lied about me. Vice has lied about me twice in two different directions. It made no sense. So then when you go to a site like Breitbart and you see that they've actually written something correct about you, you start reading other things they write. You start realizing maybe the media you thought was the truth wasn't the truth. Now, of course, conservative media can be wrong as well, can be hyperbolic and sensationalist. But I'll tell you what, man, I've been doing a ton of fact checking and research, and I'll tell you this, mainstream media tends to be wrong a whole lot. Conservative media tends to be right substantially more often, but don't let them confuse you with these small fringe blogs that are wrong nearly all the time. There is an overlap between some anti-establishment ideologies, which includes conservatives and conspiracy theorists. And just because some conservatives may overlap, some conspiracy people may be conservative, doesn't mean that the establishment conservative sites have no credibility. In fact, they have typically good credibility and tend to be correct. When you look at what's going on with these VC-funded leftist outlets, they're just after money, man. These conservative outlets, I believe, are backed by running a business and some ideology. What we see with these leftist venture capitalist sites and Democratic establishment sites is that it's almost exclusively ideology. They're venture funded. They don't need to be accountable to their audience when they just crank out articles that pander to people who already believe and want confirmation bias, or when they just lie to promote that confirmation bias. They say, McGowan wrote in a tweet Thursday that she's experienced a political wake-up call in light of Reid's accusations against Biden. And then she went on to say, I went through the story already. I'm not going to rehash everything. That basically Democrats and the media are a cult. There's no real good guys. She thought they was on the right side. I think it's funny because Elon Musk tweeted something about opening up the economy and someone tweeted at him, Elon, don't go to the dark side. We need you. Oh, the dark side, is it? Saving lives, following the science. That's how blind these people are. Now, I'm not going to get into the full gist of like the Jimmy Dore, Kyle Kalinske thing. I just brought them up to point out that even when it comes to people who are supporting Bernie Sanders, they're quick to call him out as joining the establishment, same as anybody. Now, look, I think Jimmy and Kyle are both good people, so I'm sure there are a bunch of faux progressives that are not being principled. People like Alyssa Milano that pretend to be all about it, but then backtrack for the establishment at a moment's notice. And people like the Young Turks as well, of which I believe Kyle has done, he did the Justice Democrats with Cenk Uygur. But Jimmy's legit. He calls him out all day and night. You guys check them out. I get a lot of flack because I'm always shouting out the lefty channels, Jimmy and like Kyle. So I'll mention Stick, Sex, and Hammer, Crowder. That'll be my balancing for you. Anyway, look, I don't know ultimately what this means. I thought it was interesting that Chris Hayes responded to this and called out these hypocrites, and that Evan Rachel Wood and Rose McGowan, maybe this is a good sign. The culture war is being won by the right. And I don't mean conservatives or right-wingers. It's just what we call the colloquial right. They're calling it a conservative movement, but it includes liberals and independents and people like me and the intellectual dark web. Certainly not everybody in that is conservative, but we do oppose this weird fake hypocrisy. I'm glad to see people coming out, even Chris Hayes, and calling out the disquieting nature of these people who just want to attack the character of this woman. But I'll leave it there. I don't know what it means. Whatever. Maybe it means nothing. I got one more segment coming up for you in a few minutes. Stick around, and I will see you all shortly.